Our exclusive interview with a man who's been called a guerrilla videographer and who's called himself a conservative activist out to, quote, create chaos for glory. James O'Keefe gained national attention last year with his video expose of the community organizing group Acorn. But in January, he got arrested and was sentenced last week for trying to pull off another hidden camera operation. He's going to join us in a moment. But first, a look back at his brief but already controversial career. James O'Keefe became a media sensation after he and a friend posed as a pimp and a prostitute and secretly recorded Acorn workers giving them advice on how to cheat on their taxes.
Sex is kind of like dancing, right?
Yeah, Acorn has...
Those videos led to a massive political backlash, forcing Acorn to shut down. O'Keefe's work was hailed by conservatives.
This is no joke. We are called to do this, and we're going to devote our lives to doing it.
But critics like California Attorney General Jerry Brown called him a partisan showman who uncovered no illegal activity and revised reality for political gain. This winter, at the height of the healthcare debate, O'Keefe went back undercover. But this time he made news before he ever filmed anything. On January 25th, O'Keefe and 3 friends were arrested at the New Orleans offices of Senator Mary Landrieu. 2 were dressed as telephone repairmen. O'Keefe was carrying a camera disguised to look like a cell phone. Their plan to videotape staffers they believed were refusing to field calls from opponents of healthcare reform. Last week, all 4 pleaded guilty to entering federal property under false pretenses, a misdemeanor, and were sentenced to community service and probation.
What I do is I stand up to power. My mission is to just expose truth, and Americans can play judge and jury.
O'Keefe says he's already found his next target, the Census Bureau. In May, he and his friend Sean Adelaide signed up to work for the census in New Jersey and Louisiana.
The position that you're going to be working in is called enumerator.
They each attended paid training courses. O'Keefe earned $18.25 an hour. Adelaide made $13.25. During that training, they say they were paid for some hours they didn't work, and they quit after a few days. And joining us now, James O'Keefe and Andrew Breitbart, the publisher of BigGovernment.com. Good morning to both of you. And James, let me begin with you. I want to get to that new project. But first, let's set the record straight. You did commit a crime, correct?
Yes, a misdemeanor.
A misdemeanor. Mm-hmm. Entering federal property under false pretenses. Mm-hmm. But you sounded pretty defiant out on the steps of the court. Do you think you did anything wrong?
I'd do it again. I might do it differently, but corruption exists inside federal buildings.
You would do it again? You would commit a crime again?
No, I might do it differently, but I don't regret what I did. I mean, corruption exists in federal buildings. But you committed a crime. I mean, senators are corrupt. Politicians are corrupt. These people have to be investigated.
But you would commit a crime again?
No, like I said, I might do it a little bit differently.
So you would try to stay within the letter of the law next time?
Yes, yes.
So you do regret that?
Yeah, I would do it differently, but like I said, these people need to be investigated, and they're not immune from doing investigative journalism, you know what I mean?
Well, the judge said, he did say you were a journalist, but he also said you crossed the line. And some of your critics say that you are more of a political activist than a journalist, including some of your fellow colleagues and allies. Morton Blackwell, respected conservative, said that he let you go from your work at the Leadership Institute because you wanted to do a sting operation. He said our group doesn't do that kind of work. And Blackwell told O'Keefe he had to choose between his job and his activism. He said he was committed to the activism. And by your own admission on the website, BigGovernment.com, you say, chaos for glory, my time with Acorn. You say it's time to emulate the work of Acorn. This is your words. It is time for us to be studying and applying their tactics, many of which are ideologically neutral. It is time for conservative activists to create chaos for glory. So you're a conservative activist, not a journalist.
No, I'd consider myself an investigative journalist. These are tactics journalists have been using for decades, going undercover, confronting subjects, posing as characters. This is something we're rebranding it, we're revitalizing it, we're resurrecting a genre that's existed. But this is not a left or right thing. This is just about exposing corruption. And
well, except you write here yourself that you're a conservative activist trying to create chaos for glory.
Well, I mean, when I say chaos for glory, it's
agenda.
about chaos for glory. It's like destroying corruption. It's another way of sort of taking on power, because that's what this is. It's about speaking truth to power, standing up, and shining a light behind closed doors.
I want to get to the census. One other point your critics make is they say that you're animated by resentment over race. They point out that you've attended at least one conference where white nationalist literature and speaker were promoted. And they point to a time when in college at Rutgers where you were actually kicked out of a dorm for using racist slurs.
I mean, that's outrageous. I mean, that's been completely disproven on the internet. I'm not even going to address that.
That has been absolutely debunked. That was a Max Blumenthal hit piece at Salon where they had to issue retractions. And so the type of journalism,
this is his diary. This is the type
of journalism that we do, is to counter the false narratives and the slurs that happen like that from political operatives like Max Blumenthal, like Joan Walsh at Salon, who used journalism journalism as a platform to slur James O'Keefe.
When you
not
take
true.
on corruption,
this is your diary.
When you stand up
it points it out.
to power, when you stand up to institutions, people are going to come after you. They're going to use character assassinations. Well, we're going to rise above that. This is not about me. I'm creating a movement of investigative journalists across the country. And they're not going to stop us with character assassination and all this innuendo.
But you don't deny that this was your own diary that pointed this out.
And they're not going to be able to stop us.
You don't deny that.
No, what I'm saying is when you stand up to powerful individuals, they're going to try to destroy you and smear you. But this is not about me. This is about the truth. And they can't stop us with that type of stuff.
And as you know, and you did, and I have to give you credit for this, on Acorn you did expose people doing things they shouldn't do, although Jerry Brown points out that you didn't show any illegality by Acorn. What is
it illegal to help set up a prostitution ring in every single office? If that isn't illegal, then maybe perhaps we should create some not helping. They get federal money. Al Franken voted against Acorn. The census was delinked by the White House by way of the Treasury Department and it's part of the executive office. What he exposed caused a lot of damage. And they have political enemies that want to send a message to citizen journalists around the world not to join the James O'Keefe bandwagon.
I was one of the few, if not the only, journalist who actually asked President Obama about the Acorn case. So I hold no brief.
Why was that? It was a huge story.
I hold no brief for Acorn.
Why were so journalists not interested in that story? That's why we do what we do, because the media is hesitant to cover certain narratives that don't fit with the political orientation of the press.
I did cover it. I did ask the question. So I hold no brief for Acorn. The point is right now, you now say you concede that you did break the law, and you're now moving on to new projects where you say you're not going to break the law again?
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely adjust my tactics so that they're a little more careful in the future. Absolutely. But I don't regret when people say that, oh, she's a senator. Well, of course. Yes, we're going to investigate politicians. We're going to investigate senators. You're on notice.
But you're not going to break the law.
You're on notice. If you're acting corrupt, if you're doing things behind closed doors, we will find you and we will